What's going on, guys? In this video I'm going to be going over the differences between Dxtory, Fraps, and the Live Gamer HD video capture hardware. So as you can see on the left hand side we have a Dxtory capture, and on the right hand side we have the Live Gamer HD capture. Now these were both recorded at exactly the same time, so for all intents and purposes the video is basically the same. Well, it is the same, except for the quality differences that you're going to see here momentarily. Now I didn't include a Fraps feed because, well, Fraps is pretty much going to be the same output as Dxtory. Now as we head down the quarry here, we'll see a freeze frame here. And if you look on the left side, you can see everything's pretty clear, and on the right hand side it's fairly blurry, and you can really tell that it's heavily compressed. You can see when there's not a lot of movement on the screen that it's the Live Gamer HD isn't too bad as long as it's fairly minimal movement. So you can see barely any difference there. Here we can see, if we move the screen rapidly from side to side, that the Live Gamer HD really has trouble keeping up. And if we freeze frame right here, you can see the Live Gamer HD really struggles to render the scene properly due to its compression. And you can really see it there even when it's not freeze framed, that it's quite a bit lower quality than Dxtory. But in this example, when we're just kind of walking around normally, you can see that it's really hard to tell that the Live Gamer HD isn't quite, as high quality as Dxtory. So, in most cases you can get by with the Dxtory, or in most cases you can get by with the Live Gamer HD without really noticing too much of a difference in video quality. Like here, for instance. One other thing I should note is that you can probably see a lot of tearing on the Live Gamer HD screen. And right here we have a freeze frame of the inventory screen, which you can tell Live Gamer HD does a good job of rendering static scenes with no movement on them. So it'd be good for doing like say installation videos or computer tutorials in general, not necessarily gaming. Now the first part of this video is basically just a video comparison. So at the end of this video I'll be getting into some more feature comparisons and some things that the Live Gamer HD can do that Dxtory can't, and vice versa, as well as Fraps. So we can see here very minimal differences between the two sides. Like I said, if you look closely, you can once in a while see where the screen kind of tears with the Live Gamer HD. And once again, you can see in most cases Live Gamer HD does keep a fairly similar image quality to Dxtory. You know, in most cases. There are, you know, some cases where you're panning your camera around a lot, and that's when the Live Gamer really falls behind due to its lack of a high bit rate. You can see the rain looks kind of blurry on the right hand side. Not real terrible, but you can definitely see the difference. Alright, in this section of the video I'm going to be going into a little more detail on the different features of the three products. But before I do that, I just wanted to make a note here and tell you that the Live Gamer HD was recorded with the highest possible settings at this time for the previous video comparison. So that was, I think it's 20,000 kilobits per second, and that's the highest video quality that the Live Gamer HD currently supports. So the first feature we're going to get into is lossless video capture. Now, what this means is that the video that is recorded is, for all intents and purposes, identical to what you're seeing on your screen. Now, Dxtory and Fraps can both accomplish this feature, while the Live Gamer HD, it does not, at this time anyway. So basically what the Live Gamer HD does is, since it's a hardware product, it has a built-in video encoder, so as you're recording your video, it gets encoded into H.264 on the fly and then saved to your hard drive. So that's why you get a lot of blur on your videos as it's being compressed. The next feature we're going to get into is small files. So basically, this feature just means that the product has the capability of recording small video files. Now, the Live Gamer HD, this is where it excels at, because it uses the hardware encoder to compress your video, of course at the expense of video quality, but it lets you record a lot more video on your hard drive. Now, Dxtory is great on this feature because it's sort of partial support. So basically what Dxtory allows you to do is you can change your video codec, so if you wanted to, you could encode it into the same format that the Live Gamer HD does, but it's going to use a lot of your CPU processing power to do this, and it's going to lag your game. So while Dxtory does support this feature, it's really not applicable, I guess you could say. It's not really realistic to use the feature, is what I'm getting at. Now, the next feature is custom video sizes. Both Dxtory and the Live Gamer HD allow you to pick your video size when you're recording it, regardless of what your actual recording resolution is. So basically what these allow you to do is change your final video size from what you're actually playing the game at. So if I'm playing the game at 1080p, I can tell, for instance, Dxtory to save it as 720p. Now I can also do this with Fraps, but it's actually quite limited. Fraps will let you do a full-size frame or a half-size frame. So basically, if I'm playing a game at 1080p, I can record it at 1080p, or I can record it at 720p, and that's basically all Fraps will allow you to do. Dxtory will allow you to do percentages, or you can, I believe, type in the numbers directly. So the Live Gamer HD software, which is called Rec Central, will allow you to pick your resolution from a drop-down box. I haven't actually played with this, but I'm pretty sure it works the same as the other two, and that will just resize your video. So the next feature we have is the ability to change your codec. I talked about this briefly in a previous feature, but the only software that supports this is Dxtory. So Fraps ties you into the proprietary Fraps codec, and the Live Gamer HD ties you into an H.264 codec. Now, Dxtory comes with its own codec, the Dxtory codec, but it also supports video for Windows, so you can basically encode your video on the fly to any codec that you want. So, for instance, if you're recording with Dxtory, you can tell it to encode to DivX or Xvid, or lately I've been using the Cineform codec that came with my GoPro software, and that seems to work pretty good. Now, this is the only software solution that lets you do this that I know of anyway. This also allows you to change your encoding settings, so you can change everything from your bit rate to which codec you use to the bit rate of your audio or your audio codec. So if you want to record it as AAC or MP3, you can do all that stuff with Dxtory. Now, the Capture Desktop feature is supported by Fraps and the Live Gamer HD, and Fraps pretty much just let you hit record on Fraps, and then it will just record your desktop. And the Live Gamer HD does this natively because it's always recording the video that's going to your monitor. So basically anything you can see on your screen can be recorded with the Live Gamer HD. Now, Dxtory is limited solely to DirectX and OpenGL applications, so basically games. Next feature we have is no performance loss with a big asterisk beside it. Now, the Live Gamer HD does this because it is hardware based, so it doesn't really affect anything that's going on in your computer, as long as your hard drive is working properly. And Dxtory, it's partial support in this feature because of the next feature that I'm going to be going into, which is multiple hard drive support. But basically, Dxtory will not affect your game performance as long as your hard drive can write the data fast enough. So it all depends on the quality you choose, and that sort of applies to Fraps as well, but Dxtory gives you more control over this feature. So as mentioned, the next feature is multiple hard drives, and that is only supported by Dxtory. In my opinion, this is one of the biggest advantages of Dxtory, and it allows you to record really high quality video without any performance loss to your game. So basically what this means is that you can put Dxtory into a raw cap mode, and you can basically record alternating frames of the video to alternating hard drives. So say I have 3 hard drives that I'm recording to. It's going to record one frame to one hard drive, the next frame to the next hard drive, and then the next frame to the next hard drive. Now, this is usually what makes your game lag when you're recording video, is that your hard drive cannot write your video fast enough. So basically what's happening is that you're recording at 1080p, and each frame of the video is probably, I would say, a few megabytes in size. I'm just kind of pulling that out of the air, but that sounds about right to me. So basically, you're trying to write these frames at like 30 frames per second. So, if each frame is a few megabytes and you're writing 30 of those a second, your hard drive probably cannot write that fast. So what's happening is your video capture software is waiting for the previous frame to be written to your hard drive before it writes the next one. And basically what this does is it slows down your game, and it's not really your game slowing down, it's Fraps or Dxtory slowing down your game itself in order to keep up with the load of writing frames to your hard drive. So as you can see, if you add multiple hard drives into the scenario, if you have 3 hard drives, you're basically tripling the write speed. Now the only downside to this is that once you're done recording, you have to build the files back into one video, and generally this takes just as long as the video is. So if you have a half-hour video, it's probably going to take you a half hour to build your video files back into one single video. Now the next feature we have is live streaming. This feature is pretty much where the Live Gamer HD excels at, because it's a hardware encoder, and the Rec Central software comes with built-in support for Twitch.tv, and I think it has software support for XSplit. I've never used XSplit, so I don't know exactly how it works. But basically, if your entire purpose of video capturing is to do live streaming, then I would say go with the Live Gamer HD for sure. Now Dxtory can do live streaming because it does have a direct show output, so you can put I think XSplit and Adobe Flash Media Live Encoder, they can both see Dxtory as a video source, so then you can use that software to live stream the Dxtory video. Now the downside to this is that if you're doing all this on the same computer, live streaming takes a lot of CPU because you have to encode the video on the fly and then upload it to the server. So it's going to make your games pretty laggy, and yeah. So definitely go with the Live Gamer HD if you want to do live streaming, because all the heavy lifting is done with the hardware encoder on the hardware itself. And then basically all your computer's doing is uploading the video to Twitch.tv or whatever streaming service it supports. Now we have external audio input. This is very important if you're doing any sort of commentary for YouTube. And as you can see, it's so important that everybody supports it, but some support it better than others. Dxtory definitely has the best support in this area, but I'll go over the other ones first. The Live Gamer HD basically records an MP3 file, at least at the time of this video was created. So it creates an MP3 file separately from your video file, and then you can basically splice that into your video editing software, and then there's your commentary. Now, Dxtory does a similar thing, except instead of making a separate file, it actually embeds a separate audio stream into your AVI file, your video file. So you have to use a program like I use Virtual Dub to go in and select the commentary stream and then export it as a WAV file. But I know Sony Vegas, I don't use Sony Vegas, but I know Sony Vegas will see that audio stream and it will actually put it on its own track. So if you use Sony Vegas, then that's a big plus for you because everything's all synced up and works great. But Fraps, on the other hand, even though it supports external audio, it, in my opinion, doesn't really do it real well. And we'll see that in the next feature, actually. So basically, Fraps embeds, kind of mixes all the audio together in one channel. So you have your game audio and you have your voice audio basically mixed together on one track, so you can't separate the two. So I'm going to quickly jump down to the next feature, which is separate external audio, which I've already talked about, and that is basically, putting your mic track on its own separate entity or separate track. And like I said, not supported by Fraps. Fraps mixes it all in together in one nice lovely pile. So a good scenario for this is, say you're doing commentary and you go to edit your video afterwards and you find that your voice is too quiet and your game is really, it's drowning out your voice and you can't hear your voice at all, or you can, you have to really strain to hear it. If you were using Fraps, you'd be kind of screwed, because then you can't adjust your voice to be louder than your video game. But by using a separate audio stream or separate audio file, you can independently adjust volume. So you can crank up your voice volume and then, you're good to go. Next feature is push to talk and is only supported by Fraps. Now I've seen on the Dxtory forums that some people would like this feature, and I've actually seen on the Live Gamer HD forums as well. So Fraps is really leading the way in this area, and basically that's so if you're doing separate external audio, or external audio input, and you don't always want to record every single thing you're saying. So for instance, you can hit a button on the keyboard or wherever and as long as you're holding that button down, it's recording your audio. Now, I don't necessarily find this useful for YouTube videos because, generally you'll be editing what you don't want out afterwards anyway, but I can see for live streaming this would be useful, but Fraps doesn't support live streaming, so yeah. I'd really like to see this feature on Dxtory or the Live Gamer HD more so than Fraps. So in my opinion, the usefulness of this feature is, in my opinion, very limited, but you may find a use for it yourself. And the last feature we have is custom profiles. Now, this is only supported by Dxtory and the Live Gamer HD, and basically what this means is that you can have different profiles of different settings. So for instance, in Live Gamer HD, you can, from a drop-down, pick the profile you want to use. Like say, you have a high-quality profile and a low-quality profile, for different games, different resolutions, stuff like that. But you have to manually pick your profile. Dxtory goes a step further, and while it allows you to do the same sort of stuff, pick your quality, it also remembers your settings for each game. So say you're playing Minecraft and you change your settings around, and then you go play, Battlefield or something, you can have automatically chosen profiles for those games. So, Dxtory is smart enough to see, oh, he's playing Battlefield, so we'll automatically load the Battlefield profile. And lastly, you can see the price differences on each solution. So, between Dxtory and Fraps, Dxtory is only a few dollars more than Fraps, and the amount of features you get on top of what Fraps offers, I think it's definitely worth just going with Dxtory. Unless you need desktop capture, then I would definitely recommend Dxtory over Fraps for sure. And if you have, a couple $100 burning a hole in your pocket and you really want to do live streaming, then I would go for the Live Gamer HD. It does very good live streaming. It does passable recording for use on YouTube. It's a little blurry at 1080p with the 20,000 kilobit per second bit rate. But I'm thinking if you bump that down to 720p at 20,000, you might be a little bit better. It all depends on what you're wanting to do. One other thing to note is that this is sort of a minor thing, but the Live Gamer HD comes with a USB button. Basically, sort of like a little button, you click on it, and it turns on your recording, and you click it again, and it turns it off. And then when you're recording, it pulsates red, I believe, just to let you know that you're recording. And it's sort of a cool little feature to have. It's no easier than really hitting a button on your keyboard, but you get the visual feedback when you're recording.